G'day YouTube, Baubles on a lot here. How's your drought going? You know, the Barnaby Joyce fish killing heat wave drought. Here we are in winter 2019. Last year I missed out on 34% of my expected annual average rain based on the previous 15 years. And we went into that coming off a good year. So we did. 2017 we were doing pretty well until we re-elected Barnaby Joyce. And you get the weather you vote for. Barnaby Joyce, the advocate for digging and mining and extracting and exporting and burning ever more coal and ever more LP gas, natural gas, liquefied petroleum gas. Barnaby Joyce, the fossil burner. Barnaby Joyce, the global warmer. So here we are, and this year, the graph's running worse than it was last year, only we're going into it off an absolute worst drought we've ever had here in Barnaby Joyce's electorate. And one of the things that I've sort of kind of had to notice was that the local white-winged chuffs stopped living here, either because they couldn't feed themselves or because there wasn't enough water in the dam for there to be any mud for them to maintain their nests. But yeah, after 28 years, the chuffs don't live here anymore. When I noticed they were gone, I kicked up a bit of a song and a dance about it and boo-hooed and sob. They came back for one visit for one day just to let me know that they were still around, but not here. Further down the hill, in the valley, where there's still water in the dam. And maybe they've left here because they think that everything up here is going to get cooked in the bushfire. I don't know. People say you can forecast the weather by looking at when the ants hilled up. Well, Houston, we have a problem with that hypothesis, theory and theology, because these are ants' nests that did not hill up. Last time it rained back in February or March, when we actually got 50 mils of rain, these ants' nests did not hill up. There's another one. The light coloured sand shows where there has been some overburden dug up out of the nest, but there's no hole there. Here we see one ant's nest, which may in fact still be occupied because there's a well-maintained entrance hole to the nest. But we're talking one that's still alive and occupied, one gone, another one gone, so that's two, three gone, four gone, ants aren't living there, five. So just in that little area there, 80% of the ants don't live there anymore. That there is another dead ant's nest. Here we have a bull ant's nest, and it sort of more or less looks as if it might still be occupied, perhaps, although I don't like all that debris around the hole. If I put my beer bottle down and disturb the entrance, is anything going to come up? I'm not seeing anything stalking me. Nothing coming up. There were ants defending this nest a month ago, but I haven't looked since. Come on, you got any soldiers down there? You want to come up and talk to a human? Proof of life kind of thing? In normal times, that dried dead gum leaf wouldn't be there across the nest. and by now I probably would have been bitten. Last week I drove to Armadale on Wednesday. Drove from here to my mother's place, 20 kilometres. One bug hit the windscreen of my car in the morning. We drove from my mother's place to Armadale and back pretty much another 195 kilometres, say 190 kilometres. And in that whole time, one bug hit the windscreen of my mother's car. And then I drove from my mother's place 20 kilometres, and during that time another 3 bugs hit the windscreen of my car, but that was just after dark. And then between the New England Highway and where I turn off the bitumen road onto my neighbour's driveway, 2.5 kilometres, there was another couple of bugs. So I think I'd come up to something like 7 bugs by the time I turned off onto the bitumen. And then counting every bug I saw in the headlights as I got up to my front gate, over a distance of 1.5 kilometres, I saw another 25 bugs. I think I saw 33 bugs all day. Airborne insects getting around doing their thing. And it rained on Wednesday night, and on Thursday my daughter broke a leg, and on Friday I drove to Armadale again and back. So I did another 230 kilometres, no bugs. And then on Monday I went to Armadale and back again, another 230 kilometres. And since then, when I last filled up, I've done 383 kilometres, and something like 270, 300 kilometres of it has been done on the highway at highway speed. 100 kilometres an hour, 63 miles per hour, 88.5 feet per second. In that whole time, this bug was the one I hit on the way towards my mother's on Wednesday last week. And that bug is the one I hit between my mother's place, actually between Glen Innes and here, on Wednesday night last week. But other than that, my windscreen has done 385 kilometres and has not killed any flying insects, because they just don't happen anymore. No more do you have to clean your windscreen every time you go driving near sunset or out in the cleared country or between the trees, because the insects don't exist anymore. I don't know what's going to happen to the people that used to make a living selling cans of Mortine and insecticide and pesticide, because we have voted for the weather which we received today, and the drought means there are no flies. I kid you not, there are no flies. Welcome to my dry composting toilet, which has a certificate of functionality from the local Glen Innes 7 Shire Council. The idea is that I put a cupful of ashes from the fire on top of every deposited turd. And normally, if I leave that lid elevated for 5 minutes, there'll be 15 or 20 flies buzzing contentedly around a pot full of shit. Last week I tried an experiment. I left the lid up for 3 hours and I paid attention, and not one single fly showed up for an opportunity to lay its eggs in a pot full of shit. Where are the flies? Where are the insects? What are the birds eating? Where are the ants? What's happened to the food chain in the biosphere? Bear in mind, I've still got green grass on the ground because I've got kind of like the remnants of a functional forest around me. I still have green moss growing on my rocks on my front yard, despite the drought. The horrible, terrible tree-killing drought. which has turned my humble abode into a bushfire fuel bomb, killing trees which tried to recover from last year's drought by epicormal regrowth. They weren't all able to pull off the trick. And they did it better at the bottom than they did at the top. Look at that, midges flying, backlit by the sun. Not all the insects are dead so far, yet. But anyway, have a look at what happens when we walk off away from the endangered species sanctuary onto the sheep farm. I am not the only one whose ants are dying. Look at this. There have been sheep hoof prints and sheep shit on this ant mound for the past month. It's the first time I've ever seen it in 28 years of living here, that the ants are not coming up to get rid of the sheep that are standing and shitting all over their nest. People laughed at me when I said that Australia has voted to die. Well, guess what, fellas? Australia is dying. Australia, with 0.5% of the world's population, from what we burn, from what we emit, we make up 3% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions directly. And when you figure in how much we supply, Japan gets 94% of its hydrocarbons from Australia, coal and gas. Australia is number 5 or number 6. Overall, raw figures, not per capita, raw figures. We are the 5th or 6th biggest carbon emitter on the planet when you look at how much carbon we ship overseas and enable and facilitate other people to pump up into the sky. That's why we are dying. Inland Australia is giving up the ghost. Albury and Dubbo have just lost their commercial television news desks and service. Another place in Queensland's lost it. Airlines servicing inland Australia are shutting down because there's not enough business to cover the cost of operating an airline. Australia has voted to die. We have consistently re-elected the people who promised to give us cheap electricity by burning more coal and burning more gas and exporting more coal and gas to grow the economy. Because they live in a flat earth worldview where you can continue to grow the economy and the population forever, which, as philosophies go, makes as much sense as trying to farm a pile of sheep shit on a bare rock. Welcome to the winter solstice. The catastrophic fires are in the pipeline. And 53% of my neighbours voted for Barnaby, Joyce and his drought. A fact of life, which annoys the shit out of me, because I have to live with it. 91 millimetres in March. 6.6 millimetres if you get 1.1 millimetres of dew in April. 5.15 millimetres, 2.15 millimetres of it is dew in May. So far in June, 20.85 millimetres, 3 of which is dew, bringing the tally to this year, to this moment, 198.8 millimetres. On the 22nd of the June, which is the winter solstice here in Australia, and that's the average line, and in orange is last year, and in bluey purple is where we are this year. 198 millimetres, halfway through the year, coming off a year where we missed out on 30% of our annual average rain, based on the last 15 years. You get the weather you vote for, and my neighbours, they voted for Barnaby. Joyce, the advocate in favour of global warming. Dim damn dumb arsehole. The arsehole who hasn't figured out that we've already burnt too much carbon. Justifiably saying, warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao. Smooth. Try again. Ciao.